right, awesome. Welcome everybody. Appreciate you guys coming out to another Coach's Corner. Today we have navigating holiday nutrition, how to approach the holidays. I know this is a big topic. A lot of people spend the holidays kind of stressing over this. So we got an awesome host here today, Coach Nicole. She's very passionate about this topic and very insightful as well. So really interested to get into this one. So let's go ahead and get into some rapid fire questions. As always, Nicole, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. So let me pull up the questions here. Remember, no ums, just first thing that comes to mind. All right, I'm going to give you an easy one to start with. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Fall or winter?
Fall.
All right. Apple cider or hot chocolate?
Hot chocolate.
Marshmallow or pecan topping on sweet potato casserole?
Marshmallow.
Marshmallow. Bold choice. Apple pie or pumpkin pie?
Pumpkin pie.
All right. Turkey or ham?
Turkey.
Gift cards or presents?
Presents.
Do you like white or multicolored lights on the Christmas tree?
Multicolored.
Multicolored. All right. Snow or no snow on Christmas?
I'll say snow.
All right. I was wondering where you're going to go with that one. All right. So if you have a favorite holiday tradition, what is it?
Everyone in my family wears our Santa hats and we decorate the tree.
Awesome. I love it. Good deal. Thanks, Nicole, for enlightening us on some of the holiday traditions here. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this topic, navigating holiday nutrition, how to approach the holidays. First off, Nicole, if you could just, give us a brief intro on, what navigating the holiday nutrition kind of means to you.
Yeah. I feel like the holidays are a time that's super fun, but it can also be very stressful for a lot of people because of, indulging in food, and your workout routine might not be the same, making different decisions that you're not used to, portion sizes, things like that. We tend to get a little bit crazy with how much we overthink it. But it should be a fun process. I think so. So, navigating in terms of being healthier for the holidays, I think of it more as a journey. It's not just one day, and just like a journey, breaking it down into small pieces that you can manage. Overall, I think it should be fun. I think that there will be stressors along the way, roadblocks, but enjoying the process and being prepared for what's ahead of you is going to make you successful for the holiday time.
I love that, the idea of a journey. When you think of a journey, it's never just the straight path from A to B. The journey is always has twists and turns and barriers and highs and lows, and I really like that, the way that you kind of broke that down. So if it is a journey and we're going to go on this journey together here, like, this journey begin?
I think the journey begins, Thanksgiving is next week. That's kind of crazy. But it starts for me the week before an event. So if you have parties, things like that, like the week before, I think your first step is to prepare. So, a lot of people are taking vacation, next week, or taking extra days off, families coming in town, and your schedule won't look as it usually does. And sometimes that can be a stressor for people. So planning and preparing what your week is going to look like. If we break it down in terms of, activity or exercise, and you're worried that you're not going to get your routine in, I say have a plan and outline your days. So if you usually work out at 8 a.m., your usual day, and that's not going to work for you, when can you fit in that workout? Or what I like to do is I like to replace that like same monotonous workout that I might have and replace it with like something I can do with the family. So ice skating, hiking. Try to give yourself some grace that like your week may not be as rigid as it was, but you can still have fun with it and still get activity if that's your goal, if that's what's stressing you out. For me, that's usually what it is, because I feel like I don't have my same routine, but I try to do something along the lines of ice skating or going outside a little bit more and spending time with family, because that's what it's about. So having that plan in place.
Yeah, that's really big there. I can think of many times in my own experience where it's so easy to kind of fall off the horse when you don't have a plan in place because of a schedule change, or my routine is a little bit off, my habits change a little bit, and it's so easy to do. Like you mentioned, you may be spending some time traveling, you may be spending some time, preparing the house for 10 guests, 5 guests, 15 guests, 20 guests. You never know how many, depending on how big the family is. So it's super easy to get a little bit overwhelmed and lose sight of that discipline and forget to kind of do all the things that we're typically used to doing. So, coming back to that plan, prepare, I really like that, because, if you don't plan and prepare, you might as well just settle for a really long week at that point, because it's going to definitely get out there, and you're going to lose track of time and food and everything else. And usually it's funny to look at it more as, hey, let's look at this holiday season the week before rather than just on that day. So if we're kind of moving along here in this journey, so we've started now a week before, so plan and prepared a little bit, but what about the day of? What's that going to look like?
Well, the day of is usually crazy, very hectic. So going back to that planning and preparing, if you have like a meal at the end of the day, or if you have a party that you're going to, I like to think, from the morning until that time. So starting with maybe your food intake, if that's something that kind of stresses you out, knowing that you're going to eat more, which is okay. But a lot of people tend to not eat the whole day leading up to the meal, because they think that if they don't have those calories, then they can have more in the bank to eat later. The problem with that, from also personal experience, is that you may not be eating all day, but then you're so hungry by the time it comes that you're eating faster, which means you're getting fuller faster, and then you're not paying attention to how you feel the day, like when you're eating. So, one thing I like to do now is have something more protein rich and fiber rich in your foods for the day. Because most of the time the foods are going to be carb heavy, sweet potatoes and casseroles and, butter stuff. So, what can you eat in the beginning of the day that's going to keep you full? It's going to keep your blood sugar stable. So then when you get to that meal, you can still indulge, but you're not going to feel like frantic about it. So I usually try to have like some Greek yogurt with some berries or some lean protein. You're eating lighter, that's okay, but just having something heavy more on the vitamins, fiber, and the protein to keep you fuller faster.
You're saying I've been doing it wrong all these years by just not eating and then waiting until Thanksgiving dinner and eating 3 or 4 plates. Yes. I'm gonna have to take that tip to heart. But so I guess my question is like, what type of, and this is for all the coaches here, Nicole, I don't feel like you have to answer this one either. What are some strategies any of you guys use to help kind of mitigate the effects? I won't use the effects, but kind of mitigate the day For me specifically, it's, on Thanksgiving, I feel like I have to get a workout in or some sort of exercise to make sure that, because we all know, like, what you're going to eat. Like you said, it's going to be carb rich, very calorie dense options, and you shouldn't necessarily avoid them, because they taste good. You're around your family and friends, and it's good to be present in that moment. So I know for me, I've always utilized, exercise on that day, which shout out to Dana. She's going to have a Thanksgiving Day WOD on Instagram Live. Make sure y'all check in. 8 a.m. Just go ahead and shameless plug there. But I've always used that as kind of a way to kind of help mitigate some of the things that I know is going to happen. I know I'm going to indulge a little bit more than usual, and that's okay. So, just kind of open it up to any of the coaches here that have, what kind of strategies you guys use? Any on here? Oh. And Nicole, if you feel like you got something as well, don't hesitate to share.
For me, I do typically, not every single year, but a lot of years I'll do like a turkey trot in the morning. So I think that's nice to just kind of get out and have some activity. I feel like a lot of the times when I end up spending the weekend with my parents, I like getting out of that routine, and I just feel like really like lazy and lethargic, and like it just, yeah, even if I like haven't been overeating, I just feel like really lazy and like I don't want to move. And so just like getting that done at the beginning of the day, before having eaten too much is a good way just for me to feel good throughout the day, even if it's like nothing to do with calories, just feel better. And then a lot of the times I like try to plan out like kind of what I'm going to eat. So like, like a couple servings of something, and then maybe one serving of turkey, or I'll have one dessert, and then I can kind of change, like, I'll have a slice of pumpkin pie, and then if I see something else that I want, then it's like, okay, which I was going to eat for dessert, and just have that, not instead like try like, oh, I'm going to try this and that and that and that. So just kind of trying to plan out ahead of time, like, so it's okay, like I know I'm going to have dessert, that's okay, but just trying to like prepare ahead of time what that's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it comes back to what Nicole was talking about previously, is just if you have, even like you said, even just a small plan in place ahead of time, you're gonna feel more empowered to make those better choices when you actually get to the event itself.
Yeah, and I feel too that I always try to think about like what the day is all about. It's not it's become this thing where food is the big part of Thanksgiving, but truly it is being with your family, with your friends, you're spending that time together. So like, it's a great time to like eat those things you love and enjoy them, but also really remember why you're there, and to really be mindful and listen to your body. And kind of like everyone was saying, it's really great to get, even if it's more of like a family workout in, or one thing our family does is we'll have like the dinner, and then we'll go take like a mile walk, kind of feel like kind of loosen up a little bit, and then we'll come back for dessert. So it kind of gives your body that rest, but kind of making it fun and getting the family involved, I feel like is really important too, when you want to get a little bit of exercise in, or just like Nicole said, make that plan. If you feel like you're going to be stressed later in the day, if you've eaten a lot, to make sure you do get that good workout in the morning if you have time, just to kind of enjoy the rest of the day and not feel stressed and overwhelmed.
I love that, the post-meal walk. I know most of the time I'm probably way too stuffed to even attempt a half-mile walk. So maybe that's the goal this year, is don't eat so much that I can do a half-mile walk. All right, so we're moving through this journey together still. And I guess the next question is so we've planned ahead, so like you said, we planned the week before, we planned kind of the day out, we're preparing, we're trying to make all the right decisions leading up to it, but now I'm here. Now I'm staring at the long row of foods. I'm looking at it. It's looking back at me. I can't stop. I just one plate, two plates. You know, how do I navigate that meal, like, or that holiday party or that meal? Like, what happens when we actually get there?
Well, first off, I think it's important to note that it's okay if like to be excited and to, have maybe bigger portions that day because it is just one day or, just one meal out of what, 20, the rest of the month, 28 days, things like that. So I start off with that. But, things that you can control is, when you build your plate, if there is an option, for some type of like salad or veggies, or if you can bring that yourself, have one thing that can fill you up, like more vegetable based, then have that on your plate and start with that. So get the vegetables in, get the protein in first, and then kind of dig into the carbs. So we don't always do that. So, that's just one step. I know I eat everything all at the same time. But one thing that I think everyone can benefit from is realizing how full you can get really quickly. So, from your first bite, it takes about 20 minutes for your brain to realize that it's full. So sometimes we're eating so fast that we don't realize how full we are. We get to that stuffed, place where we can't even move. And I think it is important to slow down, have more conversation, take a break between bites, put your fork down on the plate and talk and, smile, have some fun talk, and then take the other bite. If you're going for that second plate, which most of us do, still take, 10 minutes between your first helping, and then decide what is it that is so good that you want a second helping of. Maybe it's not everything from the table, but it's the sweet potato casserole that you just love and you want extra, or you're going to save that for the dessert you want. It gives your mind a chance to realize like what you're actually craving and what's going to taste good when you have that second helping. Another thing is the alcohol. So that's going to make
alcohol.
That's going to make us want to eat more, and that's fine. But taking a glass of water in between each drink is something that is really helpful because it's going to reduce how you're going to feel the next day. It's also going to fill you up. Again, enjoy the drink. Enjoy whatever it is that's your vice at the meal. Enjoy that fully and take your time. I think it's the biggest thing. Don't stress out about how much you're eating, but just, if you have an extra serving, that's okay, but you really wanted it. So give yourself some grace for that.
Right. So it sounds like I need to eat just the first plate just needs to be nothing but vegetables and the protein. I just skip all the carbs first and then go second plate of carbs. No, I really like the 80 or the 20 minutes it takes to get full, because I know for a lot of people, if you don't realize, as you're eating, do I even put my fork down? I mean, I could probably count it on a number of hands how many times I probably never put the fork down. It's just constantly in my hand. I'm just ready to dive right back into it, or like you say, like how many have maybe had this experience? Well, you're out to eat with friends, or you're at Thanksgiving and everyone's chatting and talking, and then all of a sudden everyone gets a plate of food and it gets silent. I mean, this happens probably all the time, and it's because we're just shoveling it in as fast as possible. And if we took, like you said, took some time to put the fork down, spoon down, whatever it may be, and enjoy the company of who we're around. And I think it comes back to Maida's point about just, what's the day really about, and having that kind of mindfulness and, being present with the people that you're with. Enjoy the food, enjoy the company, but also realize kind of, what you're doing in the meantime. And it's like you said in the beginning, understand that, give yourself some grace, give yourself a little bit of some slack. It's that one meal, if we looked at 30 days of even just 3 meals a day, that's 90 meals. And if Thanksgiving is one of those meals, maybe 2 for some people, because you have to go different places. So what, 2 out of 88 meals out of the whole month? You know, you look at it like that, it's like, okay, it's okay to give myself a pass. It doesn't have to turn into, you know, the 31 days of binge eating at that point. So it's really good that you talked about intuitive eating and really being mindful and thinking about things like that. You know, what are your thoughts on maybe trying to like improve the dish itself?
Yeah. There's a couple options. Like if you're the one making the meals, well, either way, if you're making the meals at your house or you're bringing something, think outside the box. And I usually use MyFitnessPal recipes because they have a lot of different ways to spice things up. But maybe on one dish that's not like the traditional dish, you can substitute, some butter for some coconut oil. You can add in a salad. Doesn't have to be boring. You can put grapes in it, walnuts. You can put, cranberries. Add maybe a new dish that you haven't thought of, or just like a bowl of sautéed veggies. If you're bringing it to, a family member or like a party, everyone might kind of joke around a little bit, like, the one dish of a vegetable or something. But believe me, everyone's going to be taking, a big scoop of that, because just having that one extra option, it just allows people to feel a little bit better, because they're like, I'm having one healthy thing, I'm getting some vitamins in. And, with everyone's different diets nowadays and, different health concerns that they have, it is good to have something a little bit more simple, like sauteed veggies, a fruit salad, or something that that most everyone can enjoy. But just replacing some ingredients in those dishes. I'm not huge into replacing every unhealthy ingredient in a traditional dish, because that's what you look forward to all year. Like, we're already all year always replacing something. So let those dishes be, but maybe adding in something else. That's what I think is
right.
better.
Yeah, it's almost like subtraction by addition. You add in more vegetables into all of the food options, and if everyone grabs one scoop of just some sauteed veggies, it's going to be less food stuff you can actually kind of bring in so you can reduce the calories that you're taking in that entire meal by probably a pretty good amount at that point. But that's awesome. I'd love to hear that. That's a great option to, if you are hosting, or if you're, been asked to bring something, like, don't be afraid to take the healthy option. There's going to be plenty of, other attractions at that event, unless you are like super specific and someone says you have to bring this dish, like everyone's looking forward to your dish that you've brought every year. Maybe just, like you said, use a few different, maybe put it in MyFitnessPal and say, hey, what can I substitute for this? Make it with almond flour versus regular flour, or, just to see. And, you can always test that out and see if it kind of affects the consistency or taste of the dish, and just kind of be creative. I like that a lot. Really do.
Yeah.
All right. So we're still on the journey. We're still moving through holiday season. And so I let's just say I couldn't help myself on Thanksgiving. Just couldn't help myself. I had 3 or 4 plates, multiple sweets at the end. Went with the pumpkin and the apple, not just one or the other. What happens next? Like, what's the next steps?
Well, the big thing, again, I always say, is try to remove the guilt if there is any. Just know that it's just one time, and you can learn from it if you maybe have a little bit less the next day. But I think the first thing that always makes me feel better when I'm pretty full is to go for a walk. I know it's kind of cold out, but if you can do something in the living room, or just, walk around the block just for 10 minutes, just to get outside and get moving is going to help with that instead of just sitting on the couch. But, besides that, looking at your leftovers, and if you're hosting, feel free to offer up some of those leftovers, divide it between people. I know for me, it's just my family, so we always have all the leftovers, but what we do is we portion them out, for people for the rest of the week, and we freeze a lot of things, like turkey, or we add in like a turkey salad. So instead of using everything, we just kind of divide it up little by little. But freezing is always helpful. You can always take it out, next couple of weeks. I think that just try not to make it, one day turn into a whole month. So anytime that you can divide up food between people is going to be, really helpful with that. And then getting back on your routine. So the next day you wake up, you may feel a little lethargic, but continue that workout, continue that family time outside, or get the activity. Like, just, we have to move forward. Every day is a new day. So what I'm more about adding in things, how can we add in something in our day, like, going for an extra hike, something like that. Try not to not eat all day the next day. Just try to go back to your normal routine, have that one meal, one little extra leftover, but then the rest of the day is your healthy routine.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think it's easy. I think we touched on it a little bit in the beginning, but it's really easy to kind of fall into that trap of just, yesterday I kind of went off the rails. Maybe I'll wake up and go get some donuts this morning or something. It's really easy to just kind of once you fall off, to just stay off. And, it's like you said, you give yourself that grace, you give yourself that, that miss, allow it, accept it for what it is, come back the next day, get back on track. That one meal isn't going to make you gain the 10 pounds from holiday season. But it's so easy to, I guess, get lost in that process, because when you think about like decisions and how we decide and how we make decisions, and if the result of that decision is further away from the actual decision. So meaning I made the decision to kind of like to eat freely, and I overdid it. And then the next day I kind of just kept going, and the next day kept going. I'm not going to gain 5 pounds over those, 10 pounds over those couple of days. But that decision to keep on that track will then later on lead to that weight gain. So it's a lot harder to dissociate the results of or repercussions of the decisions that we're making when the outcome is further away from the decision. So, like you had said, it's just get back on track. 1 to 2 meals of 90 out of the entire month. And then if you look at it in 2 months span, you got 51 days, and, sprinkle in some holiday parties in there, and, Christmas Eve, things like that. You're looking at maybe 5 or 6, 7. We'll give it 7 to be a little graceful there, and say 7 meals, and you're looking at, let's see what kind of percentage is that. Out of the top of my head, it's only 14% of the meals that you're eating throughout the entire 2 months of like the holiday season. So no, I really, really enjoyed, what you've said, but I want to open it up to either any questions from anyone on the call today, or if any other coaches want to add anything, any tips or strategies they've used to help, anything that kind of goes along with anything that helps navigate their life choices throughout the holiday season. I want to, give you guys the opportunity to say or to add to the already insightful knowledge we just got from Coach Nicole.
Let me see. Am I muted? Am I muted? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mark.
All right, cool. So, I mean, the biggest thing is just with the whole process, be smart about what you're doing, operate with grace. So think about the calories you want to take in if you want to enjoy the day. Work out the day of, have your workouts planned for the entire week. Get just like everybody said, get some good movement in regardless, whether that be a full-on workout, walking, whatever that looks like. I know one of the things that I do, I might fast part of the day or whatever, depending on when the meals are going to be done. You can just basically limit the amount of calories you take in before, so you don't feel like you completely overeat. But just enjoy the day, but be smart about everything you do, and just take the tips that everybody provided today and implement them in some way, because a lot of great information has been shared today.
Appreciate it, Mark. Absolutely. I've used fasting to my benefit as well, and I know this is a little bit counterintuitive to what Nicole was saying, but you have to be smart about it too. Some people will use that tool and then they get to the Thanksgiving and then they just go crazy. Other people, they understand, they're a little more intuitive to their eating and can fast a little bit and say, okay, I know when to shut this down. Whereas someone who's maybe not a little more skilled in that fasting realm, like they're probably going to overeat pretty quick. But it is definitely a tool in the toolbox.
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody can benefit from different strategies. So I think that there's some things that are helpful for some people and some things that aren't helpful for others. For me, in general, I don't always 100% follow this, but I typically try to personally not buy a lot of unhealthy things to have in my home. So no cookies, no those kinds of things. So it might be a little bit harder for people that are hosting holiday parties, but I'd say, if you think it would benefit you, maybe just trying to not buy anything that's going to be around the home during the holiday season, because, grocery stores have all sorts of baked goods and things that look really good to buy, but trying to keep those out of the house, and then just making the holiday parties that you go to the time that you can have a little bit of an extra treat.
Oh yeah, totally. Temptation is a lot easier to control when the temptation is out of sight. Let's see, any questions? Oops. All right, well, if we don't have any questions or anything else to add, I think we can call it there. If anybody does have any questions who watches this or is on and just didn't feel comfortable, putting something in the chat, feel free to reach out to any of us. We'll gladly answer your question and give you any more tips that we can help give you guys. But other than that, we appreciate you guys coming out. Thanks you, Coach Nicole. We appreciate it. Super insightful today. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Thank you.